Few of us, most of us have enjoyed kind of the background you see here, those partly sunny skies, enjoying cooler and below average conditions. But those of you who know, y'all have heard some rumbles of thunder move on through. A few of us still dealing with some of those storms this evening. Drier and cooler conditions for most as we enjoyed the rest of our Sunday, and that will thankfully continue into the work week. But speaking of the work week, we will see a slow warm up into the rest of the week ahead, and that's partly due to the rain changes eventually kind of moving on out of our area, high pressure starting to build back up, and us kind of having to warm up in the process of it. So let's take some live looks all across North Mississippi where we can see some of the stormy weather. Out here in Starkville, 86 degrees, feels like 104, but let those storms move on in. You're going to feel a lot better heading into the rest of our evening, but pretty some dark and menacing looking clouds as they continue to grace on by, entering the Golden Triangle region. So you guys seeing some of that rainfall. And we have another look at it with our Maven camera. Big thanks to Fastnet for sponsoring both the Starkville and Maven cameras that we're showing you right now. But again, 86 feels like 104. They're very next to each other, very close to each other, but wanted to show y'all two different angles of those storms as they start moving on in. But for you guys that haven't gotten that rain, or not today at least, I mean, 90 degrees feels like 100 out there in Shelby. That is a lot of improvement compared to where we have been the past few days, especially with those heat advisories in place. Thankfully, that's not the story. So still partly cloudy skies, enjoying some more sunshine. It's been a beautiful Sunday for you guys out there in the northern portions of the Delta. Now, take a look at the first 12. We're still talking about those storm chances for a few of us, only 20% coverage, mid 80s by 7 o'clock, cooling off all the way towards the low 70s again. So finally back to where we should be, even slightly below average for this time of year. A few of us dealing with some fog as well, but waking up to beautiful conditions in the low 70s with drier skies in store. So let's take a look at our Doppler radar sponsored by Mama Justice. Most of us kind of dealing with pretty dry conditions, but we are seeing some storms continue to fire up on the southern portions of our viewing area, even some spotty showers further up north, especially for you guys in Oxford and in the Tippah County. But we're not talking about anything widespread. The most severe or intense part of our weekend was yesterday as that front kind of swept on in, bringing that cooler air, but also stormy weather. And we're kind of seeing the remnants of that continue to just linger over North Mississippi. So for you guys in the southern portions of the Delta, Delta and viewing area, this is the area that we're looking for those storms to continue, as we're seeing that continue right now. So let's take a look at that temperature change. Now, pretty much all of us are experiencing cooler conditions right now than what we were yesterday. The only reason we see +6 in South Haven, Corinth, +3 in Holly Springs, y'all were in the midst of getting those line of storms at this moment in time yesterday. So of course it was a lot cooler because y'all were getting just those hefty wind gusts, dumpage of just rain showers and storms. So all of us enjoying the benefits right now. You can definitely tell a lot more blue than that yellow creeping on in, but that's just due to y'all being really, really cooler yesterday as we are wrapping up our Saturday. Now, take a look at our surface analysis. Again, we still have that low pressure system. You can kind of still see all those rain changes almost spinning, wrapping around it. And that frontal system, that's going to continue pushing into North Mississippi, allowing us to enjoy these below average temperatures here in North Mississippi, and that will continue into the start of the work week before we eventually start to warm on up pretty much around hump day and on towards the next weekend. So let's take a look at futurecast here. We'll continue breaking this down. That low pressure system continues to sit over our viewing area. This is around 6:30. Still not doing a good job of this model run showing those storms out there in the southern portions of the Delta. So models continue to struggle. We'll continue breaking down what we expect to happen throughout the rest of the night. But we're going to see those showers and storms continue to stick around the most southern portions of our viewing area. You guys up north, y'all are staying dry pretty much all day long. And then we're going to return to completely dry skies as we get ready for our Monday morning coming on up here in the next few hours. So beautiful conditions, they're in store for us. We just need to wait a little bit longer before we can enjoy these dry and cooler temperatures as we get ready for the work week. So let's take a look at the next 24. Again, beautiful start to the work week, low 70s by 6 o'clock, working our way up towards the mid 80s by 12, 10% coverage already by lunchtime. Not too widespread by any means, but we still can't quite get away from those thunderstorm, just afternoon storm chances yet here in Mississippi. 20% coverage 3 o'clock, continuing into the rest of your evening. Could hear a few rumbles of thunder, but as far as us talking about a severe weather risk, that is not on the table as we go about our Monday ahead tomorrow. So good news is in store. A lot to talk about and break down for you guys. So we'll be covering those rain changes throughout the rest of our evening and who could see some of those storms as they kind of blow through our region. and of course, getting you ready for your Monday, your Tuesday, and just what all the work week has in store. Looks like the Wasps are trying to tune in. All that's coming up in the next 60 seconds.
Rain, humidity, wind, and storms can take a toll on your home. When they do, trust the team at Absolute Restoration for roofing, water damage, and mold remediation. 662-760-4348.
I have been going to Tupelo Smiles my whole life. When I was a kid, I was unhappy about some uneven coloring on my teeth after getting my braces off, which at the time there really wasn't a fix. I was recently made aware of a solution that would totally fix it, which is exactly what we did. They not only heard my concerns, but they never stopped looking to solve my problem, and that's why I love Tupelo Smiles.
Welcome to the next generation of local news, Mississippi Live. Where you are, when you want it, we're focused on you because local matters. We are Mississippi Live.
Right now, from the Mississippi Live Weather Center, here's meteorologist Caleb Edelblut.
Well, thanks for sticking here with us for Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I see our usuals here in the comments. Very excited to have you guys joining us for Mississippi Live Weather at 6, talking about that rainfall. Could it be heavy? Could it be light? Well, I'll break down everything you need to know. Let's take a look at our evening planner. For you guys in that 20% coverage, you guys will see some of that heavy rainfall with just some of those stormy conditions continue to sweep on through the southern portions of our viewing area. Again, very isolated in nature. Most of us will stay dry. Low 80s by 8 o'clock, cooling off towards mid 70s by 11 as those rain and storm chances continue to move on out. And we're cooling down towards the low 70s for our overnight lows and waking up to maybe some patchy areas of fog. Now, take a look at those heat indices, because another thing we want to continue to talk about, we're enjoying below average conditions and temperatures here, but the Mississippi mugginess, I mean, it's still relevant. I mean, triple digits still across our region, but we're not really talking about anything heat advisory related. We can see where some rain has had quite a impactful impact or beneficial impact. 93 out there in Corinth, 94 Boonville, 95 Holly Springs, and 91 Oxford. So again, not too bad for it being mid-July. Usually we're talking about those toasty, just unbearable conditions. Well, thankfully, we have a few days rest and just a break for them. So let's take a look at Futurecast this time, a little bit more zoomed in. Again, we're dealing with some of those stormy conditions already here, kind of approaching the Golden Triangle region by 6:30. So not doing too well on the placement, but it continues to stay very consistent on those storm chances staying further on south. Even by 8 o'clock, we're still talking about just setting heavy downpours all across the region, further south in the southern half of our viewing area. Further north you go, y'all continue to stay dry. We're not dealing with those stormy conditions. And even take a look by 10 o'clock. So we will continue to monitor this. I think this model kind of almost being a little bit too behind because we're already seeing some of those storms fire up for you guys out there in the Golden Triangle region. So could start to see this a little bit earlier than expected, and some of these could bring some damaging wind gusts. But again, we're not talking about tornadoes. We're not talking about hail. The severe weather threat continues to be very limited, but we're going to keep our eyes on these storms as they continue to fire up into the rest of the evening. But even midnight and on, most of those continue to shift further and further south of our area. We're just dealing with that lingering moisture. Still a few heavy downpours for you guys in the southern portions of the Delta, and they'll stick around throughout the AM hours and kind of deal with what we did today. A few of you guys probably woke up to some heavy rain hitting the roofs early this morning, but you never heard a rumble of thunder. So same story as we go about our overnight period, this time waking up to much drier conditions for our Monday up ahead. Now those low temperatures, again, cooling off towards the low 70s all across our region, which is slightly below average for where we should be. We should be around 73 here in Tupelo. We're coming in just 2 notches below from our 30-year average. So definitely a positive. 72 in South Haven, Senatobia. And for you guys out there in the Delta, I mean, we were talking about mid 70s, what, 24 to 48 hours ago? not bad at all. So feeling a lot better as we're starting off the work week. So let's come back to Futurecast to get ready for your Monday. Again, starting off with mostly dry conditions, but still maybe a few lingering showers and moisture just sitting over North Mississippi. This front's going to continue to sweep across our region, and because it's still sitting here, it provides that lift for these thunderstorms and just heavier showers to develop. So that's what we're going to continue to monitor throughout your day ahead. And just notice how it continues to just sit here. I mean, it's almost a stationary front. You can see that starting to protrude off of it pretty much just along the corner of Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee. So this is around 12 o'clock, dealing with sunnier skies further up north, just with that cooler and drier air, and further on south, just partly cloudy, if not mostly cloudy conditions. By lunchtime, that's going to be two different stories across North Mississippi, depending on where you are. But as we continue throughout the afternoon hours, we're still talking about those rain chances. And again, it's for you guys pretty much just south of this front, where that cooler air continues to mix with that humid, unstable, moist air mass that we have here in Mississippi, while you guys further north are enjoying drier conditions, sunnier skies, and honestly probably cooler conditions as well. So depending on where you are here in our viewing area, there's two different kind of stories to talk about. So make sure to take special attention to on kind of where you are here on that map. So still talk about some of those showers, which could be on the heavier side, but a severe weather threat not on the table for your Monday up ahead. Now, of course, for the afternoon and evening hours, still dealing with a few showers, kind of continuing to fan on out and getting closer towards 6 o'clock. So could be tracking a few rain chances and storms as they move through North Mississippi tomorrow evening during our 5 and 6 o'clock broadcast. Now, take a look at those high temperatures. Again, it just feels weird showing something like this for us being in mid-July and us talking about upper 80s. So definitely below average. Mississippi mugginess is still here. We'll, of course, kind of feel warmer than these temperatures, still sitting around the mid-90s, low 90s. I mean, Red Bay, y'all continue to impress, coming in at 88. But what's honestly more impressive, you guys out here in the Delta, 98 Clarksdale and Cleveland, 102 Greenville, 99 Belzona. Again, we were talking about 105, 106, 107, 24 to 48 hours ago. So a significant difference, and one that will be felt as you go throughout the work week ahead, which of course means you can get outside, walk the dog pavement. Not going to be as hot, but still make sure to consider them as you get ready to take them out on a walk. Early mornings or late in the evening are probably the best time. So low 70s out there by 7 o'clock, perfect time to get some morning exercise in. Already warming up slightly towards the low 80s by 12, and still only reaching the mid to upper 80s for your highs tomorrow afternoon. Now, coming back to Futurecast, this is with our strike model, which is giving us a few more chances of some showers and storms to appear throughout our Monday. So again, very isolated in nature. In my opinion, I think it'll be more miss than hit. That's kind of how this weekend has gone too, with some of these stormy conditions and models just really over exaggerating them, but we haven't quite seen it. So again, I think we're going to enjoy pretty much drier conditions tomorrow, but we still have the chance to see some of these showers by 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. Nonetheless, as we continue throughout the evening, we'll continue to dry on up. A few of those could be a little bit heavier in the southern portions of Grenada County, working their way towards the southern portions of the Delta, out here towards the Golden Triangle region. That's at 10 o'clock tomorrow. And as we continue into our overnight period, we're not talking about stormy conditions all night long. So again, stress-free overnight period is in store for us, waking up with dry conditions yet again for your Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock. And as we continue throughout the day, these rain chances definitely a little bit more apparent throughout your Tuesday rather than your Monday. So already seeing some heavy showers out there in the southern portions of the Delta by lunchtime. This is at 12:30. As we continue throughout the rest of the afternoon, I mean, just a heavy band of rainfall, pretty much the southern third of our viewing area. Very heavy out there towards Greenville, crossing the Mississippi River towards Eudora. But for us here in our viewing area, the most southern portion of North Mississippi that we cover can definitely see those rain chances earlier on and quite a bit throughout your Tuesday. And we're just going to continue to see them fan on in, again, coming in at a different direction than what we're used to, and that's because of that big L on your screen. It spins counterclockwise. Well, it's starting to shift on out and bring those rain chances with it. So once it continues to do so, we'll see them coming in from the southeast, which is typically always weird to see. But that's kind of the behind the scenes on why that's occurring. And that's around 6 o'clock on your Tuesday, and we're going to start to dry on up and return to drier conditions yet again for your overnight period and heading into your Wednesday. And then those rain chances, they're just going to continue to struggle throughout the rest of the work week. So those high temperatures, again, for your Tuesday, still enjoying upper 80s as we continue to push through the work week and the start. So I know a Monday morning is coming up pretty soon. but at least it'll feel pretty nice outdoors. And take a look at those feels like values. Honestly, I think a little bit more impressive for your Tuesday rather than your Monday, just due to those rain chances helping cool us off. We're not talking about triple digits anywhere here. And Red Bay coming in at 84. Y'all are going to be the location I love talking about because I think everybody wants to be you guys out there. So feeling pretty nice out there in Alabama. But taking a look at your 7-day forecast, we're still talking about those rain chances heading into your Monday and especially your Tuesday. Still think tomorrow's more mist than hit, but not off the table completely, as a few of us will definitely hear those rumbles of thunder and some showers moving through North Mississippi. We're increasing to 40% coverage on your Tuesday with those stormy conditions still in the forecast. Not expecting severe weather at this moment, but if that were to change, we'll make sure to keep you updated. 20% on your Wednesday, Thursday, heading into your Friday. Just because it is still summer in Mississippi, there's always going to be the chance for rainfall. Most of us will continue to stay dry and we'll enjoy sunnier skies. And speaking of sunny skies, this weekend, this coming weekend, Saturday and Sunday, working our way back up into the mid 90s with those drier skies. So beautiful weekend should be on tap, and hopefully we will finally talk about a weekend where we don't have to talk about those soggy conditions. We can do anything and whatever we want outside and not have to worry about that. So hopefully we'll continue to see that verify. But coming up here in the next 60 seconds, I want to take a look at kind of those heat indices throughout the next 7 days, because Mississippi mugginess is still here. But how nice will it really feel as we go about the week? How much rain could we expect? And of course, we'll take a look at those storms as they continue moving through our area. All that's coming up in the next 60 seconds.
We need to open up a business account for our new business. Some friends and business owners recommended First Choice. Ever since we opened up our account, we love First Choice. They treat you like family instead of a number.
Hi, I'm Mississippi Live Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon. Reserve your St. Jude Dream Home giveaway ticket by July 31st, and you'll be eligible to win the house and the early bird prize, a $10,000 gift card to Brooks Grocery. Visit dreamhome.org to reserve your ticket for $100 and help St. Jude Children's Research Hospital continue its life-saving work. Then watch Mississippi Live on October 29th to see who wins the house and the other prizes. Reserve your ticket today.
When C.K. Little opened his doors in downtown Corinth nearly 80 years ago, his plan was simple: deliver excellent service and exceed expectations. That's why we say a little gift goes a long way.
Well, I'm catching up on the comments. It looks like Just Brenda said, not looking good for my dance night, Caleb. Well, let me know which night that you're planning your dance night. I'll try to give you a good forecast for that, because I know a lot of us are wishing for, hoping for, expecting some drier weather and just a drier weekend, that's for sure. So hopefully we can see that come up throughout the next 7 days. Now, speaking of that, we're going to feel pretty good going throughout the work week ahead. Take a look at those heat indices. I mean, if you're ever talking about temperature and being on the lower end of graph in July, cannot beat it. So today, pretty much sitting around the mid to upper 90s-ish, but still below 100. That's going to continue all throughout the work week until Thursday and Friday, where those dry conditions really start to build in and just continue to linger. That means we'll start warming up pretty quickly. So those temperatures, they'll continue to rise. That Mississippi mugginess, it'll definitely be felt heading into next Saturday and Sunday. So just remember this now. When we wish for those drier weekends and just sunnier skies, it comes at a cost. But honestly, at this point, I think most of us wouldn't mind that, and just enjoying a drier weekend. We can deal with the mugginess. We just don't want to talk about any rainfall. So let's take a look at that throughout the next 7 days. Again, very prominent the further south you go here in our viewing area, and we already saw why that is. All that rain, again, coming from the south, you guys talk about weird weather. It's just due to that low pressure system continuing to shift further and further east. It spins counterclockwise, so it's bringing in all that moisture from the Gulf, and we'll just start to see it coming in from the south. So again, not typical for us here in Mississippi, but wanted to break that down for you guys because it's fun to learn some new things. But again, most southern portion of North Mississippi, the area that we cover, we're still seeing some heavy amounts of rainfall, 2.5 out there in Lowndes County, and pretty much just in the Golden Triangle region, right in the middle of all three cities. 2 inches out there in Louisville, up to 1 3/4 inches in Natala County, and still seeing 2.5 with that darker yellow start to come into play. So further north you go, y'all are enjoying these cooler and drier conditions, but that also means that you're not going to get that rainfall as prevalent as the rest of us. Now, taking another look at this, rainfall still very relevant down further south, not seeing too much out there in the Delta, which also means it's not really going to help our drought conditions. Taking a look at your latest drought monitor, again, these refresh every Thursday, so this is one that came out just a few days ago. Of course, you guys out there in Delta seeing exceptional, extreme, and severe levels of that drought. Not expecting too much rainfall for you guys kind of within the next 7 days, at least consistently. We could still get some of those heavy downpours, which will of course, be well welcomed, but we're not really going to see anything move on through that can help us with these drought levels. So wanted to kind of put that in perspective on what we can expect throughout the upcoming work week, but we're still dealing with some rainfall that of course follows us into the next few days, but at least we're going to enjoy cooler conditions. Looks like Just Brenda said Monday night is dance night. Okay, I'm going to keep that in mind as I continue getting ready for the 9 and the 10 to give you the latest timing on all those rain chances. So hopefully it'll start to feel a lot better. Let me see if I can switch this over here behind the scenes, and then we're going to go over to analysis mode. Again, most of us here in North Mississippi, we're staying dry. We still see these pop-up showers all across our region further up north, which is kind of the forecast for your, not Tuesday, your Wednesday, your Thursday, heading into your Friday. You can't escape something like this here in the summer of Mississippi. So very hard to guarantee a completely dry day here in North Mississippi, but you guys further on south, y'all are definitely hearing some rumbles of thunder as they continue moving through our region. So let's zoom in on these before we wrap this up. Again, we're not dealing with anything severe. And hopefully we can continue to keep it that way. So we see these showers continue to move on through. We'll get the latest track on that as it continues, honestly, probably slowly moving. Let's go past hour. I mean, take a look at that too. I mean, these just kind of pop on up, enjoy the hot, dry, sticky, humid air mass, and then they just blow on up and kind of expand with that intensity and just heavier downpour. So that's what we're seeing out there towards Atala and Winston County, slowly moving out of our viewing area, but you can see it starting off almost right along Highway 12, and then it continues all the way pretty much to 25. So let's measure that out so I can give y'all a good estimated, yeah, I mean, they're moving very slow. So maybe around 20 miles per hour, we'll do that because that's still probably going a little bit quicker. So very slow, which also means if it's dumping that amount of rainfall and just sitting on top of you guys, that could impose some kind of flash flooding risks. That's another thing that we want to stay very weather aware on. But tracking this out as it continues that southeast motion, kind of a little bit more south, we'll go 20 miles per hour and we'll shift this over just a little bit. So East Macedonia around 626, Estes around 628, Triplets Corner 630, Liberty 638, Vernon 650, Plattsburgh 652, Claytown around 655, Stallo 658, Macedonia 7 o'clock. I almost said 700. Golson around 708. Fair Hill 712 and Prince Chapel at 715. And of course, switching this back over, that way we have kind of more landmarks to go off of. Well, of course, we're kind of getting out in the sticks here in North Mississippi. You know how it goes. Noxapater around 646. And thankfully, I mean, that's about as much that we're having to kind of track out here in our viewing area. Just Brenda saying a little rain is okay, just no storms. Southern summer rain is also agreeing. Love the no storms. I think everybody here in North Mississippi would agree with you guys. We definitely don't want to talk about anything too strong or intense. Thankfully, that continues to be the story right now. Let's take a look at our cameras. I always love looking at these behind the scenes. See our Kosciuszko camera. It always faces that one direction. I don't know if it'll pick up on those storms. But for you guys out there, next to that church, which is Crestview Church. There we go. I kept the sticky note. So for you guys out there near the Crestview Church region in Atala County, y'all are staying dry as those storms continue to move on through. You can see just on the other side of this camera. So I think we're facing further out west and these storms just behind it with some of those heavier downpours. And honestly, might be starting to see some of that right behind me here. So could see some of those storms on the very edge of the camera. Let's take a look. Let's see if our Philadelphia camera's looking north. We can see some of those sunny skies. That one's probably facing a little more west, and you can see some of those darker clouds starting to creep in a little bit closer. But this has honestly been another story too. When you guys don't see that rain, y'all have enjoyed another sunny day here in North Mississippi. 73 degrees, feels like 70 out there in Philadelphia. I know I moved Macon over earlier to kind of watch some incoming storms, so maybe we can see that. There we go. I think they drifted on through throughout the broadcast. So big thanks to Fastnet for providing or sponsoring this camera, and to the North Mississippi Storm Chasers for providing these cameras. You can see some of those storms kind of drifting on through. There's some of that heavier rain, which I think becomes even heavier right there. I want to see if we can move that behind the scenes. I don't know. I was stuttering on my words right there. Y'all are probably watching what I do a lot behind the scenes in between shows. I always love looking at these cameras, trying to get a visual on everything going on. Oh yeah. It's going to be, of course, it's going to be right behind the pole. You're not going to see it behind the Skycam network. Here's a good shot. Take a look at all that heavy rainfall. I mean, that's just sheets of rain. I mean, blinding rain. You can see where it starts and starts to just blend in. So this is, everything that you're looking at right here is all rain. So heavy, heavy showers. I know you guys were asking about that earlier in the comments, talking about, are they going to be heavy downpours? Well, yes, you can definitely see some. Somebody was asking about Greenville, Mississippi. You guys are staying good. We can take a look at your camera out there. We're going to be talking about a whole lot of sunny skies and probably warmer temperatures. 88 degrees still feels like 99, so not even pushing into triple digits. But y'all are, I'd still say, is it wrong for me to say feeling amazing out there? I'm not from the Delta, but I know we talk about the mugginess and just how brutal it is for you guys, but feeling like 99, I don't know if that's fair to say, feeling pretty good for this time of year. So y'all let me know in the comments from you guys out there in the Delta. But again, we can wrap this up right now. We're not talking about anything severe. If anything were to misbehave, of course, we'll go live in a moment's notice. We actually do see this severe thunderstorm warning out there just across the Mississippi River, getting closer towards Greenville. Let's switch to our Jackson radar site. Yeah, let's take a look at those showers. So again, another thing that we've been talking about with these storm chances is it's going to be the most southern portion of our viewing area. So the southern portions of the Delta, getting closer towards Atala, Winston, Golden Triangle region. Y'all have dealt with these storms. Greenville, y'all have not dealt with any storms yet today. It looks like these are going to try to give y'all something to look at, but with the direction it's heading, it'll go probably more south of our region. We'll take a look at that here before wrapping this up, because it's not in our viewing area, but we want to make sure it doesn't start to affect us here. So let's take a look at the direction that's heading. Again, these are going to be very slow moving storms. So you can tell it just kind of sits out there and just continues building its strength. So we probably have a while to go. That'll expire around 7 o'clock. So still another 30 minutes as it continues to push kind of along the border of that. We haven't seen it get extended, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did, just because it continues to maintain its strength, but moving very, very slow. So let's see if we can get a shot with our Greenville camera on that. Switch this over here. We'll do that behind the scenes. Go over to, there it is, Greenville. And let's make sure we're facing out west. We don't have a preset for that. Well, it's pretty much facing out west. So actually that looks a little bit, yeah, southwest. Yeah, okay, so we're probably going to be looking at some of those storms out there in the distance, just kind of those grayer skyline, just with that rainfall and stuff happening across the river. So for you guys out there in Greenville, y'all are still enjoying sunnier skies, but looking out west, we are talking about those storms continuing to move across Arkansas, getting closer towards the northeastern portions of Louisiana and the Mississippi River. Now, will it affect you guys out there in Greenville? I'd be really surprised to see it kind of maintain its strength. I know you're asking, so Greenville is clear for the night. I think the worst case that we're talking about as far as intense or severe weather would be something like this, just kind of one of these storms forming and bringing some of those damaging wind gusts. But again, we're not talking about tornadoes. We're not talking about hail. So as long as you're good, kind of hearing the wind howl outside, of course, maybe hearing pea or dime-sized hail, not really meeting that 1 inch in severity criteria. It's going to be kind of a whole lot of this. And we haven't really seen any of these warnings get issued for us here in North Mississippi. Everything has been very, very tame. Now, I also know you guys out there in the Delta, y'all are a part of that hot, sticky, just humid air mass. So storms kind of love feeding on that. So we'll kind of see how this has continued to form. I mean, they're not really moving much at all. They just kind of sit out there and continue to build. Now, it's still pretty impressive that they haven't extended this warning yet. I wouldn't be surprised if they did, because it still kind of looks like it's reaching that strength, and they issued it quite a ways ago when it was at there. We'll take a look. Let's take a look at our strikes, because I always love judging the health of a storm based off that. So we'll get that in frame. And then hasn't been issued yet. I'll move out of the, there we go. We'll move this over here. That way y'all can see both. I always cover up the strikes with my head. So around 2:16, right before it got issued, and of course we're seeing those strikes continue to build, continue to build, continue to build. So yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised if they extend this warning, especially as it's starting to kind of push further and further out from that line, that boundary. So it'll start to affect more people. But thankfully we haven't seen that quite yet. And of course this continues until 7 o'clock. So best case scenario, we're going to see that continue to kind of die on out. But right now I'm not expecting that too much. We could take a look at our peak threats to see kind of what all it could be dropping. I wouldn't be surprised if it's trying to show some hail. But yeah, exactly. So we're talking about the lightest shade of pink here. And that continues to be a very positive thing. When there's more confidence for that hail to be falling in a big and large quantity, we're going to start talking about some dark purples. And we're on the lightest shade of that. So again, going to be very heavy rainfall, probably a little bit windy as well. But the hail is just really going to continue to struggle, especially because hail doesn't do well in saturated environments. It kind of melts on the way down with all that rain. So that continues to help you out a lot, pretty much just west across the Mississippi River and trying to get closer and closer towards like Hollandale, Arcola, and getting closer towards Rolling Fork. You guys out there in Greenville, it's going to have to change directions pretty meaningfully to kind of change from that southeasterly direction to going up northeast. So that's not really going to impact you guys, but I'm glad you were asking so we could take a look at that before wrapping this up. So I'll keep my eyes on that. Of course, like I just showed y'all, I love watching cameras behind the scenes. I have radar pulled up the entire time, so I'll make sure to see all those warnings. And speaking of warnings, we're not dealing with that here in North Mississippi. Again, the further north you go, y'all are staying almost completely dry, just some light showers and sprinkles out there. Heavier storms in the southern portions, getting closer towards Louisville, Winston County, kind of crossing out of Atala. But we're not dealing with anything severe at this moment. So we're going to wrap this up, make sure I'm ready to go for anything that would pop up as severe, but hopefully not expecting too much of that tonight. And with how this weekend's going, y'all should see me again by 9 o'clock and just throughout the scheduled time. So I hope you guys have enjoyed y'all Sunday, and I hope I got y'all prepared for what the overnight brings and your Monday morning and all throughout the work week. Make sure to stay updated with us, and of course tune in, especially if we do end up having to cover that severe thunderstorm warning out there in Arkansas, not affecting us here in North Mississippi, but if it were to maintain its course and affect our southern viewing area, we'll make sure to keep you guys updated. So download the Mississippi Live Weather app, scan the QR codes here. They'll take you to the app store depending on which phone you have. It's the same app, just different app stores, of course, if you have Apple or Android. And hopefully next time y'all have to see me will only be at 9 o'clock. So we'll make sure to keep you guys updated on everything going on. And of course, for you, Brenda, letting you know what your dance night looks like. I believe you said Monday night, so hoping to give you the very latest on that. And whatever plans you guys have out there, we'll make sure to continue giving you the latest look at rain changes, how warm it'll be, how below average it could be throughout the next few days. So everything you need to know here about weather and just honestly events occurring across North Mississippi, we'll make sure to keep you updated. But until then, y'all continue to enjoy what's left of y'all's weekend, and we'll see y'all back here live for Mississippi Live Weather.